Continuing on from the last video on the Abarth, welcome back to Seaside Garage by the way, I have decided to put the Abarth on the AutoVip, the Danish weird contraption from the 70s. With that in place, it will be possible for me to flip the car up on its side so that oil and brake fluid and all that stuff will drain. Well, that's not the main purpose. The main purpose is to get better access to the underneath. Currently, I do not dare to lift this car on the lift. I'm pretty sure it will just crush the sills. The other problem is that my lift is actually too wide for this car. It is possible to lift it, but it's very difficult with the wheels on because the distance between the axles is so small on this car because this car is awesome. So I want to lift it with the AutoVip, that way I can lift it in the axles, flip it up on the side and see how much I can see and how much I can fix from there. I do have a feeling that the axles is coming off, or the suspension system and leaf spring and all that, to actually fix it. If that's the case, it won't be possible to do it on the AutoVip. I would have to have some contraption holding the car some other way. Actually, the AutoVip comes with some extensions where you can bolt it onto the bumper mounts instead of the axles, but I don't have those. I'm gonna try to find them because that would be really, really awesome. But what I want to do is to lift the car up one axle at a time and attach the AutoVip system and then flip the car up. I'm trying to move it as far over here as I can, and I might have to actually remove this because when the car flips up, it won't take so much space up, I hope, because I need to be able to use that gate right there because there's a car on its way that needs an engine swap, and it would be a lot easier if I can go in through that gate instead of that one. So yeah, logistics. It's a very, very tiny garage, and I need to be able to work on multiple things. Oh, I really do dream about a day where I don't have to do customer jobs. It's not that I don't like it. I just have so many of my own projects, and it would be so nice to just focus on them. But that would probably mean that I would have to get a real job, and I really don't want that. So yeah, let's go and fit the AutoVip system on the Abarth. And as mentioned, I don't want to lift it on the sills, so I'm going to try to lift it at the front on the tow hook down there. I think it will be strong enough. This car is very light. I was thinking about maybe taking the engine out, but I don't really want to do that because I rebuilt it a couple of years back, and it wasn't bad, the rust in the engine bay. I fixed all this stuff at the sides, but nothing in the engine bay as far as I remember. Although there is an issue with a synchro mess on one of the, on second gear, I think, so maybe I will actually take it out if it's necessary and rebuild the gearbox, because I have big plans to start driving hill climb in this car. It would be really fun, but it would be quite annoying if I can't change the gears as fast as I want. But firstly, I need the car to be in one piece before I even think about racing it. Jack stands underneath the sills. Yes, it will probably crush it if it falls, but it will stop it from crushing anything else. So it's just a safety precaution. It's not resting on it at all, and I'm not planning on going underneath the car anyway, but just a safety precaution. It's actually quite simple to set up this. But it's a good idea to be focused and take it slowly, because there is a couple of things that can go wrong. And I'm not even sure I did this the correct way actually, because I can't find the manual, but can't remember if you're supposed to lift the heaviest or the lightest point firstly. So don't use this as a guide, check it yourself if you got one. The risk is that when only one of them attached, it could actually turn together with the wheels and fall off. So I always make sure that that won't happen and have support underneath in case it happens anyway. But other than that, it's a pretty simple thing to set up. And I sometimes get asked if it's as good as a lift, but it's actually not at all comparable to a lift, because it's a totally different kind of thing you can do with this. Fixing rust underneath a car on this is a million times easier than on a lift. But changing an exhaust or something like that is better on a lift. So it's just two completely different kinds of things. And there is a lot of work setting this up, comparing it to a lift. I would also say the risk involved in this one is a bit higher. Not injury-wise, but there's just a lot of things that can go wrong also on the car by doing this. This is it. It's attached. Nice. Now comes the horror show maybe, because now it's time to take a look underneath this car. Okay, I just did a little bit of cleaning of the floor, and now I'm ready to start flipping the car. But already now I'm able to see a lot more rust. And I know I tend to say, it could be worse. It's not as bad as I was expecting and so on. But this is actually worse than I was expecting. I could see a little bit of it, but there's going to be a lot of rust here. And I really hope it's not too bad. But oh man, it seems a little bad. But anyway, we don't know for sure how bad it is until I flip this car. So let's try to do that. And I'm gonna open up to the engine just to make it possible for me to just keep an eye out on the liquids and so on. I don't want brake fluid to spill out, for instance, but I think hopefully it's tight. I'm not sure. Otherwise, I'll have to put a cap on that or drain it. The coolant might escape. The engine oil, I think, will just end up in the chain area of the engine, so that will be fine. But I'm just going to keep an eye out on all that. So, open up the lock like this. Oh, maybe the fuel would actually escape. I'm not even sure how much fuel is in there, but I should probably drain that. So the fuel tank is now empty, and I think I can flip it all the way this time. Everything seems controlled. One more. Click. And I'm happy. Ooh. But I won't do any more today because it's late. I have stuff to do. But tomorrow morning, the inspection will start. Exciting. See you in a bit. It's the next day and it's time to really see what's what's not there. So lying in bed thinking about the Abarth and the AutoVip, I realized that I set it up wrong. Well, I didn't set it up wrong, but I could set it up a bit more clever because this version only have a lock on this side. The other one is not locked, it's just free to roll. The bigger version's got locks on both sides, but I have the small version which is just fine. It's for 1,400 kilos, I think. But the thing is, I put the lock on the light side of the car, the rear axle. The front is a lot heavier because of the engine, of course. This means that currently it's the chassis that keeps the engine and front of the car in place, because if that lock wasn't there, it would just roll down at the front. So it's flexing. Not necessarily, but it is holding itself with the actual chassis. And being a very compromised chassis at the moment, that's probably not the best thing to do, especially not when I start to cut out material. There is a chance that it would start to distort the chassis a little bit. I could go around that by just putting on some kind of stay over here to keep it up and keep some tension on it like that. But I actually think what I'm going to do is to inspect what I can see today in this video. Then I'm going to take it down again. Then I'm going to move this to the front. And then I will probably construct a bar that I can attach to that part of it and attach it to the rear bumper instead of the axle. That's extra equipment for the AutoVip. I just don't have it and I cannot really seem to buy it anywhere. But it's just a box section and then some modifications to fit. That could be a good idea because I could then remove the rear axle, because I can already see now that, or the rear suspension, but because I can already see now that it's bad in there and I cannot access it. So that could be a thing. But in this video, it's all about seeing how bad it is. And I really don't like what I see down here. Up here, I knew about this. It's gotten a lot worse than what I thought it was, but I knew about this. This back here, I didn't know about. Of course, I knew there would be rust in a car that is known to rust and used all year round. But it looks pretty bad. But let me take you closer, handheld, and then let's take a look at it all. So firstly, it's this. This is the part that you lift the car on. Only it's not a very good idea to do right now. It's completely coming apart, which I'm quite surprised about because I knew that it was rusty and I knew that it had been fixed in the past. But it turns out that it doesn't really seem to have been fixed. It's just been made looking like it was fixed, because it doesn't really look like there has ever been any welds up here. It's just, you know, rubber that's put on top of something to make it look nice. And then it has just rusted completely crazy underneath because moisture couldn't escape. I have lifted this car many times on this point, so it's been okay until until now, where it's no longer attached. Yeah, it needs to be removed, and the floor needs to be reconstructed, and then it needs to be welded back on. And I actually already found one of these, I think. I hope to find another one because the other one down there is just as bad. So I can just weld in a completely new piece, I hope, for both sides, and then fix this. So this is not as bad as it might look. Up here is the front jack point, and I have no idea what's in stock for me here. I know it's bad, but how bad and how hard it is to fix, I don't know. And again, this, you might wonder why I didn't notice this, but last time I checked, it looked decent. And it turns out that it's got that rubber thing all over the place. This has been repaired for the last time it was through an MOT, which is quite a while ago. And it's not been repaired very nicely. Probably, maybe not even repaired, just covered up. I don't know. I'm not going to judge. It's in the past. But this is the reason why I didn't really know how bad it was, because it was looking decent until it stopped looking decent. And now it's just really bad all over the place. I don't know if I can get repair panels for this area or if I will have to reconstruct it. I don't know. But yeah, there's a lot of work. Luckily, it actually looks decent up there. I don't know if you can see that. But it's not looking too bad in the actual inside. So that's nice. And this plastic inner wheel arch I had off a couple of years back when I fixed the front end. Hello and welcome back to Seaside Garage. Today I'm going to start some rust repairs on the A112 Abarth, and hopefully it will be all right. So I don't expect it to be bad in here, but it probably is. That will have to come off as well. But it's not that long ago I checked that I've been in there. But yeah, who knows? The rest of the front end of the car looks really solid and in nice condition. Actually, there's nothing to worry about at first glance up here. It's just the sills going all the way down, and they are bad up here as well. This is still attached, but just barely. This rubber thing, this rubber stuff is just so annoying because it kills so much. It might cover it up for a bit and look all right, but then it just starts to rust underneath. And I don't really know how bad this actually is, but if it's cleanable or if I need to replace everything. But there's definitely holes somewhere, of course. But a lot of cleaning is needed to really see how bad this is and how much needs to be replaced. I think I got an outer sill lying in my stash, so I will probably just cut that off to fix. Also because now comes the complicated bits. We are reaching the rear end of the car. Down here, it doesn't look good. That part of it, I don't think that can be cleaned up. It doesn't look to be too hard to fix, but it looks to be very, very hard to access unless I cut out the outer panel and the inner panel to really see what's left of this member. Is it called a cross member? No, probably not. So there is rust in there, and then it looks all right until we reach this area down here. And this is the area that is starting to scare me a little bit. It's completely gone right here, as you can see. I would have to cut up here to fix that, probably. The thing is that it's also bad in there, very bad. And this one goes on top of that. I cannot see. Oh, it's really bad in there. I'm not really sure how to fix this, other than the fact that I need to remove the rear suspension at least, so that I can cut this down this open and see how it's made from factory and how I can recreate it. Maybe may fix some of it from the inside, but this is really, really bad and scary that I have had. And quite scary. This car's not going to drive anywhere anymore unless I fix this, that's for sure. It's too compromised. Surprisingly, it's still holding up, but yeah. And then there is also over here at the rear, this is where I could see wells on the inside in the previous video. This is a repair panel or a patch on top of some rust, and that repair panel is also disappearing. So this is not great either. This is something that I probably would need to fix straight away, because if I choose to create a attachment for the auto whip on the bumper mounts, this part needs to be very healthy, and it's not. But yeah, it's quite bad. It luckily looks quite decent in that structure, and also it's hard to really see, but the other side of the car looks better at first glance, but it's probably pretty much the same. I don't know, but it's probably pretty much the same. I would have to flip it. But I think I don't want to watch too much more stuff, because I do not want to get demotivated completely, because I love this car. And in a way I wish I didn't, because then it would be easier to just steal the engine and parts for something else. But I love this car. So that would be a very problematic decision to do. But this over here is really frightening me. That is going to be difficult to fix, I think. And remember, there's also rust up here. It's just not very visible from the outside, but the inside is very bad up here also. Yeah, you can see that. I'm going through up there now. And this is also, oh, this is not great. This is really not great. It's looking quite grim for this car. Yep. Plates are coming off. I'm not sure I'm gonna hand them in though, because I got a year, I think, before the next MOT, and I like these plates. They have been a part of my life for a long time. In Denmark you have to give them, and then you get a new number next time. But I'm taking them off just to make it clear that this car is going nowhere before it's fixed. I gotta be honest, I am shocked about the rear end of this. Not up here, not this. This is all right. I can manage that. I'm really worried about this up here. This is probably becoming a long-term project, which is a shame, because I would like to go hill climbing in this car next month, but that's not going to happen, that's for sure. And maybe it won't happen at all. I am really conflicted about what to do next. I love this car. You know what? I need to fix this. I just don't know how, and I don't know when, and I don't know. Yeah, we're just going to have to see. Maybe I could find a donor car and then cut some parts from that. That is a possibility also. Right now it's a bit overwhelming, to be honest. Keep in mind that this is not my only project, and it's not going to be my only project unless I start to be able to live only by making videos about my own cars. It won't be possible to just focus completely on one thing and fix that up. That's the reason why I have so many projects shuffling, because yeah, one thing is I bought way too many. Another thing is they are all very cool. I would like to fix them all, but I just don't have the time to do it currently, and that's a shame. And I was not expecting this to join that queue, but it probably will. I normally don't keep my cars for very long. Normally I need the money to buy other projects or fix the other ones that I have. It's not really owning the cars that is my goal, it's the process of fixing them This is the exception. I have kept this. I sold it, bought it back once. I'm getting attached to it, and that's probably the worst thing you can do with old classic cars, in my opinion, because it will just be a money pit and a stress factor and all that. But I can't do much about it. I love this car. Thanks for watching. Sorry it wasn't the most joyful video, but it is what it is. And hopefully I will find a solution. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.